What's going on, my pretty pandas? It's your Huggable Hipster here, and welcome back to another Tea Talk, where we talk about the latest and greatest in gaming news, gaming just everything, and YouTube news. And in YouTube news today, there's just something that I don't even know how to feel about it. So if you guys want to know what I'm referring to, and if you guys want to know the great things in gaming that are happening, stay tuned. But first to gaming news, we have something really major that's going on for you Switch users, PS4 users, and Xbox users. I'm talking about like all the Xbox One, Xbox One X, just all of them. Wait a second, oh my god, I'm forgetting my glasses again. There we go. Okay, time to do that. It states here in the article that a report found that while gamers are buying up to state-of-the-art technology like PlayStation 4 Pro and Xbox One X in droves, they are also forking out on old gear more than ever, which is interesting to me, and I never thought I would see the day when someone would want to buy a GameCube. Like, they were a great piece of machinery back in its time, but okay, there were a lot of faults with it. Whenever I would play the Resident Evil game, there would be glitches that would be good and there would be glitches that would be bad. Thank goodness I never experienced a lot of the bad glitches, but there was this one glitch in particular that I remember with the very old Resident Evil game. I think it was the one that came out in '98. It was the remake of the first version, and I remember there was one glitch where you could go into your storage device area, the storage devices in all of the save room, and you would go in there, and if you had grenade launcher ammo, you could make it infinite ammo by doing a certain glitch. Like, you had to exit out, put the ammo inside the grenade launcher, and then like press A a couple of times and it would give you like unlimited ammo or something. I think I'm remembering that glitch wrong, but it was a glitch nonetheless that happened, and it would happen for like all the ammo. So that was something that worked out in people's benefits. Obviously, whenever they did the version for the Wii, they stopped the glitch and people got kind of upset. They were just like, why did you keep that glitch in? I was like, it's a glitch because it's a glitch, not because it's intentional. If it were intentional, then they would have kept it into the game. Research found that many games are now being listed on auction sites like eBay for hundreds of pounds or thousands in some cases, with the original first print Japanese edition of Final Fantasy listed for 3,966 euros. Now, this might just be another falling out trend that is short-lived, but who knows? I really, honestly, I hope this is a trend that stays wherever people of my age and people who are younger get more into retro gaming, because the retro gaming back in the day was so much fun. Like, I remember playing Pac-Man on an old, like, little, I don't know, game console that my dad had whenever he brought it over from Taiwan, and it was really cool to see that old kind of gaming style. And granted, my first ever gaming console was a GameCube, and then I got the Wii, and then about a year and a half ago I ended up getting an Xbox One. Yeah, it is an Xbox One. I was about to say 360 and I was like, wasn't that old. But there's so much that you can do with retro gaming, and there's so much that you can do with the glitches. There's so much you can do that brings back nostalgia. I remember whenever I used to play Q*bert, and that is a retro game that is now on Xbox as a revamped version, and it astonishes me how much that goes into crafting these games, but also the fact that people want to play them and that they're timeless. That's basically the whole gist of it, is that retro games are timeless. Now, the next story I want to talk to you guys about is one that I saw on YouTube, and it's a continuation of the Logan Paul tragedy, where he is trying. He's trying. I can tell that he's trying to make up for the crap storm that he ensued and he made and everything like that. Part of me is hopeful that this video that he released is a true effort in trying to make the less kind of selfish, kind of sensationalist, to put it in Casey Neistat's words, content that he normally does. Because actually it was first Casey Neistat who tweeted out his video that I saw it on my timeline. I wouldn't have gone looking for it either way. I didn't even know that he created a follow-up video for everything that happened. And it's basically a suicide prevention video, and he talked to some survivors, one in particular who survived a jump from the Golden Gate Bridge, which I'm still astonished by. It really goes to show you how, you know, things are kind of like meant to be in that certain circumstance, that you're supposed to stay alive, but that's neither here nor there in this topic. The thing that I found interesting was that he actually donated to charity causes. Like I think he said he donated over $1 million. Which, I mean, honestly, I always want to give people second chances, but this, it's Logan Paul. Like, the way that he went about it was just so callous and just inhumane, and the fact that he even said in the video that he most recently posted that he had never lost someone from suicide. And that's a really big part of it too. I mean, like, whenever you're first encountered with someone who has passed away and it's a really like big punch to the gut, you don't know how to react. And I feel like, you know, people can say, oh, that was his way of handling it. I don't know, this way or that. It's really astonishing to me that he even took the camera into the suicide forest. That's where I kind of draw the line, because I mean, for me personally, I don't respect him. I don't respect him as a human being or as a YouTuber at all. I feel like he needs to take some time away from YouTube instead of trying to gain our respect back, because it's not going to happen. I mean, for me personally, like, for example, if someone lies to me, I'm always going to have that image of them telling me that lie, and I'm always going to have that in the back of my head. Well, should I really trust what they say? Should I really, you know, follow and do something that they say, or anything like that, whatever it may be? This is the same circumstance. We've seen Logan Paul act in one certain way, and now we can't get that image out of our head, so it's kind of like, should we trust him? And should we actually follow through with what he says? Or is he trying to gain back our trust in order to do something else that is crazy and outlandish and not really sensical and humane? You know, me being the peaceful person that I am, I really hope for the best, and I really hope that this is his way of not only trying to cope with what he saw, but trying to make an actual effort in you know, making a step forward instead of just being stagnant in his own selfish pool of muck, you know. I found that story really interesting, and I found the way that he did the video very respectable. I'll give him that. But next up is our random fact of the day. And for the random fact of the day, did you know that DMC, also known as Devil May Cry, started out as a failed Resident Evil game? Mikami first created the game in hopes that it would turn out to be Resident Evil 4, but alas, there were just too many things that strayed away from the actual plotline and storyline of the game. Hence, we have the Devil May Cry. Now, I've never played the Devil May Cry before, and I hear it's an absolutely wonderful game, which is one I think I might actually have to play on the channel. There's one thing about Resident Evil that you guys might not have known, is that there were several gruesome messages that were taken away from the game in its early stage. I'm talking before the remake. I'm talking like before Mikami ever made the graphics look good and the boobs less pointy. There was one message in the original plotline and script of the story that was painful breathing. Someone stop the suffering. And then there was another message that was supposed to say, for God's sake, get out. Actually a direct reference from Resident Evil's precursor, Sweet Home, which actually Sweet Home was a critically acclaimed game that was by Capcom originally, and it was like, it was such a graphically, how do I put this nicely? Just the graphics were just not good at all, but it's a retro game, you know, it's from back in the day, it's from 1989. Now, this next random fact about Resident Evil that you might not have known is that Resident Evil was going to originally become a multiplayer game, which I'm so happy it didn't. I am very happy that it didn't. Mikami, that's a shout out to you. Thank you for not making it multiplayer, because having it mostly be multiplayer for Resident Evil 6 was just not good, and the fact that they made it first person, no, not first person, third person horror was really a good choice on their part. And it states here that due to hardware limitations, Capcom decided to not make their famous survival horror multiplayer game. Getting around those darned hunters might have been a whole lot easier with a sidekick backing you up. But it's not entirely impossible, as you guys saw in my Resident Evil 1 playthrough. Granted, video games were a lot more difficult back in the day. You know, you really had to work at the game and you really had to figure your way around it. You really had to understand the mechanics of it. But nowadays, whenever you're going through a video game, you have music to let you know when an enemy is coming. Where in Resident Evil, you really had to guess when the enemy was going to come. Or if you're like me and you've played it a bajillion times, you already know. Now, this is one random fact about Resident Evil that I did not know at all, that Jill has a hidden zombie encounter scene. And for our last fact of the Did You Knows about Resident Evil, this is one that I actually didn't know, but I found it very entertaining to read. Resident Evil was actually given the world record for the worst game dialogue ever, which, I mean, For me, it's nostalgic, so I can get past the dialogue, but yes, in a nutshell, it's really bad dialogue for gaming. I mean, with lines such as, Jill, here's a lockpick, take it with you, it might come in handy. Like, of course it's gonna come in handy. You can't open any of the doors, like, and there are other lines where she is just screaming, Barry! Barry? Barry. Oh god, Barry. It's just so laughable, but it's so adorable at the same time, because it's just, like, hats off to the writers, because they didn't know what to work with at the time, and there were so many trial and errors, and there was just so many things that could have gone wrong, but it turned into the wonderful game that is Resident Evil. They didn't make it into a multiplayer, and they waited until number 6 to test that stuff out when they had better equipment. But that was it for today's Tea Talk. If you guys like my face and what I do, please be sure to subscribe and hit the bell down below, because I make videos every damn day. Casually nerdy, you guys, and I will talk to you all in the next video. Peace.